Welcome to the Cultivation Podcast. I'm your host, Tom Hamill, and this season we are talking all about words to live by. So we're talking about the things that we need to either implement into our life or remove from our life because words are powerful and matter. Today, I am pumped about our guest. I am going to butcher her bio because you want to talk about someone who lives an adventurous life and has done some incredible things. We're going to talk about it. Land speed, bicycle, world record for male and female. I think I got that right, but we'll have her clarify everything. But just an incredible person and personality and human being. We're talking about silver linings. That's our word today. And so I'm super excited and want to introduce our guest today, Denise Korenek. Did I say it right?
Korenek.
Korenek.
It's just fine.
I practice. We're going to put your name correctly on the lower third so that people know it. And then we're going to tell them before we leave how to find you and look up your story and all that kind of stuff. So welcome. Thanks for being here. I'm
it
super.
It is an honor.
Yeah, it's my honor. It's our honor. Thank you we want to hear a little bit about your story. And then we want to talk about, obviously, we get the highlight reel up front, breaking the record, all of those kinds of things. And then the pre and the post of, the stuff people don't get to see. We'll get into the nitty gritty and where the silver lining is on that. So tell us the journey, the incredible intensity of this record, and why did you do it?
Well, this record, I did a bicycle land speed record. It is drafting, so I'm actually behind a race car. Did it at the Bonneville Salt Flats. It is.
By the way, that doesn't diminish it. That makes it more intense. Like you're behind a drag racing car. I mean, it's crazy. I've watched the video. It's intense.
Well, what's so funny is you haven't mentioned the speed yet.
I haven't. I didn't want to steal your thunder. Yeah.
Okay. I just didn't know if we want to hold that off. But yeah, because a lot of people go, oh, that's interesting, because they see bicyclists draft and things of that nature and understand some of the physics behind it. But then when I tell them 183.9 miles an hour, they go, wait, what?
Yeah. I'm going to repeat it. 183.9 miles per hour.
Yes.
So I don't even know how fast your legs are moving at that point, your cadence and all of the bicycle science-y stuff that's behind that. But it is, in the video, you see like the dirt flying because you're in a full helmet, obviously for safety reasons, but 183.9. Why not 184?
Well, ironically, the setup rules for us were to try to not go over 175. I needed to break 166.9 to break the overall, the men's record. I actually had the honor in 2016 to go out and do the first ever women's record. So I established a women's record, but it put me third in line in the world overall. And thinking, you set one goal and then decide, well, maybe I should go for the next goal.
Yeah.
So I did. I went for the overall record and came back 2 years later. And I said, okay, well, 170. If I do 170, thinking how impossible that was going to be. And it was actually my car racing, my pilot driver, I guess you'd say, of the vehicle. She and I were in very sync with each other, and she knew that I was able to take it, and she just floored that thing. And so we got a little bit of trouble for breaking 175 from the safety standards for the vehicle. But we were able to do 183.9, and that was the average of an entire mile at the end.
Wow. So again, we're going to put up the link because me trying to describe it and even ask questions is such an injustice to the intensity of this video. But she talks about how she was just kind of in sync with you and following you and paying attention to your body in motion and just kind of, you guys were just on that same frequency to go right into the record. It was really remarkable and intense. So, okay, you hold the record. You went from third in the world to number one. It's a Guinness World Record. What was the drive to even do it in the first place? Where did that come from?
Well, there's a wild side in my life, which comes from my parents. Go sort of back with them, and I'm able to do whatever I set my mind to do.
Hmm.
Is how I was raised, and so there's never been any blockades of going, oh, a female shouldn't do this, or hey, nope, you shouldn't do that. So for me, I've always been able to set goals and go, why not? I have a daring adventurous side. I was a downhill mountain bike racer when I was a junior. So
Okay.
for me, this element of, doing something really fast and dangerous has always been there, or as they
Okay.
call it, adrenaline junkie.
Yeah.
But a little bit of heritage is my dad, when he turned 70 years old,
Okay.
rode his bicycle around the outer perimeter of the United States, 12,100 miles in 9.5 months. He turned 70 in Galveston, Texas.
Okay.
And so that's one, so he's definitely a slow twitch muscle type of person. So he has that endurance,
Yeah.
but it's one of those, who would think to do something like that,
Mhm.
for take 9.5 months out of your life and go, I'm going to ride my bicycle around the outer perimeter. My mom raced powder puff demolition derby cars within 10 years before I was born.
Okay.
And then for her 80th birthday, just 6 years ago, jumped out of an airplane for the very first time.
Yeah, well, and I've done that. We talked about that earlier in this
Yeah.
season, that I've jumped out of an airplane. It's
Awesome.
terrifying. So she did it at 80
For the first time.
for the first time. Yes.
So that gives you a little bit of an
I'm
understanding
gonna
of the
just-
complexities of
I
our
probably need
makeup.
to turn in my man card right now. Like I did it not when I was 80. I wasn't even 40, and it terrified me. And so you inherited that.
I inherited the accepting those challenges, but I have to give honor to my bicycle racing coach, who saw my talent and ability
Yeah.
from a cycling and athletic standpoint, and to marry that up with my willingness to do something like this.
Sure.
Because when it was first introduced, it was introduced in 2012. He brought me out to lunch and he's like, okay, Denise, I know you like to do bike racing. I know you like drafting. I know you like car racing. I know you like this. And I knew I was being pulled up to like this proverbial cliff going, what, John?
Yeah.
Because my coach is John Howard, who is the 1985 record holder
Okay.
at 152. And I'm going, okay, what? And he says, you realize no woman has ever attempted this, the record of the land speed record. And it no sooner had come out of his mouth, and I'm like, I'm in. I can't believe I didn't think about this.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, how many times can you be out there as the first female ever to
Yeah.
have a record? And so it was a no-brainer for me.
Awesome.
Then it was like, I remember talking with people when we were announcing what we were going to do, and people would ask all sorts of questions, about the bike, the gear, the brakes, the this. And so somebody asked at one point in time, and this goes to show sort of the little make the decision and figure it out along the way. Somebody asked, well, when you've done the record, how do you slow down? And I went, I don't know. I never thought about that. And so I had to look at my coach and go, when we're done, how do I stop?
Yeah.
And so it was just hilarious to know, I don't think through some of the details, schmeetails, as I say, they'll all figure themselves out.
Yes.
It's the essence of it, the big goal of it. I'm in.
Yeah. Well, the bottom line is everything is figure outable, right? Once we've made the decision to go and tackle that mountain or obstacle or record, everything is figure outable. So our word today is silver linings, right? And so I looked up the definition because I'm nerd and techie that way.
Is it one or two words?
According to Webster, I first searched it as one word, but they separated it.
Okay.
So I am English grammar was my lowest marks in school, so I have no idea. But
Same here.
Webster said it, so I'll go with that, right? It's a consoling or hopeful prospect. So the way they're defining it is a negative outcome, you find the silver lining.
Yes.
In a negative situation or outcome, that sort of thing. So, we're transitioning not from you broke a record, which is great, and that's the highlight reel or the Sports Center highlights, right? That sort of thing. But there had to be some obstacles along the way, either getting to that place, whether that was your mental determination, your physical strength and endurance that it has to take to do that. I mean, I'm not sure I even have the concentration to hold the handlebars straight at 40 miles an hour, let alone 183. So I know that there's obviously a physical demand, but for sure a mental demand on just getting to that place. So what were some of the silver linings, either pre or during or post breaking the record, that you were just like, wow, that was providential and I wasn't even aware of it at the moment? Are there any of those moments?
Oh, they're all over the place. I mean, and they are in everyday life with absolutely
Mhm.
everyone. You just have to really be focused to look for them because,
Sure.
and that's my thing. My theme in a way is within everything, there is a silver lining. There is a positive in some of the worst case scenarios.
Mhm.
Um, but yes, I wanted to bring up one thing because this is the silver lining, but you talk about being able to concentrate, and I have ADHD. And so
Okay.
for me, you get behind, my mind is always going in so many different directions. I hear other things that people go, how do you hear that? Like we listen to some of the 714 and I hear the dog chewy in the background. Or,
Yeah.
you know, you hear all sorts of things. Your mind's always going. The faster I went on that bicycle behind that vehicle, literally the more the world shut down and the more focused that I got. And it was almost like a nirvana to be in that
Okay.
moment to where people talk about tunnel vision or in the zone as an athlete at the very tail end of an event or what have you. I literally, my world was right there looking at that center line and there was nothing else going through my head because you couldn't.
Yeah.
It was in that survival mode. And I think that's what, for me as an adrenaline junkie, I do that because it's when the world quiets down. It is an amazing space that you don't get too often. And you just have no time to think of fear, no time to think of anything else. So there are some beautiful silver linings as far as that goes.
Sure.
Available today, my book, The Life You're Meant to Lead. It's finally here. It's finally available. You can get it from Amazon. You can get it from our website, ourcultivatedlives.com. We got it in the tree version. We got it in the e-version. We got it in the audio version where I read the book by the author, The Life You're Meant to Lead, a powerful tool. Pick up your copy today.
There is a phrase that I've heard said, I've spoken from platforms on this, of that, this idea of that you get what you're looking for. So a lot of people approach life like, oh, I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop, or I'm waiting for this person to disappoint me, that sort of thing. And so the idea is that because our mindset is there, you're going to find the flaws, you're going to find the disappointments because you're conditioning your mind to look for that, and you're going to get what you're looking for. So this idea of a silver lining is the positive side of that. If you're always trying to find the silver lining in every situation, you're going to get what you're looking for. And one of my pillars in life, and one of the tools that we're working on to build out to our audience and curriculum and tools, that sort of thing, is this idea of a failure loop, that failure is actually our greatest teacher, and that there is no we are not a failure because something has failed. That it's not a title or an identity that we take on. When we are looking for the silver lining, the positive outcomes and the lessons to learn, that even what seems like a disappointment or a failure or a catastrophe, there's a lot of good that can come out of that. And there's lots of examples, whether that is natural disasters, governmental disasters, financial disasters, that the lessons that we learn, that we grow from. So I love this theme, this idea, and that you are like a mighty force. That's incredible. And one of the things that I just would say that I admire, so I am a girl dad. I have only daughters. I have two teenage daughters, one in college, one in junior high school. And one, I love the example, so I'm saying thank you on their behalf. I love the example that you say, hey, there's no limitations because I'm a girl, and I teach them the same way. It's only a man's world if you've decided that it's a man's world. So go conquer whatever you want, and you can never fail enough that daddy doesn't love you. So go do it. I'm going to be the first cheerleader and champion you. I want you to succeed, that sort of thing. So thanks for being a living example of girl power, right?
Thank you.
But then also, you're not just a record holder. I don't hold any records, so I don't say that haphazardly. But you're a business owner. You're a mom, right? There's like lots of things that are the ingredients of who Denise is, and so I'm sure that you have dealt with disappointments and had to search for the silver linings in a lot of things. So whatever you feel comfortable with, I'll ask you this question. What are your greatest silver linings that you just kind of like, I've had a bad day. Oh, I'm going back to that spot, that place that you remind yourself with.
Well, I have one huge pivotal moment, I would say, when I can look back and know when that journey of really looking for the silver lining started. And my father had actually passed away in '06. And my one friend calls my dad my parental soulmate because him and I would go everywhere, do things together. I'm definitely a daddy's girl, his only child. And so when he passed away, it was on ironically, an 11-mile hiking trip. And he had gotten caught in a snowstorm and he passed away from hypothermia.
Okay.
So, and this was when he was 74 in 2006. And so that rocked me to the core. It's like pulled the rug out from under me, whatever you want to say. It was horrible. I found out what depression was because it was, I didn't get a chance to say goodbye and all these other elements. And I remember going to a transformational workshop of all things, which was really interesting at the time. And he brought me up and he says, what do you have to be thankful for? What do you thank your father for his passing? And it was like, oh, no. I'm not thankful for my dad. No. It's not about thanking your dad that he's passed. That's not the point.
Yeah.
What gift did you receive because of that passing? And I literally had to open my eyes. And there was, because at the time, I had always kept my husband at an arm's distance. And my dad was that unconditional father's love. And so my dad and I would talk about all sorts of things. And I had my husband at a arm's length. And I didn't realize that because now all of a sudden my rock, as I called it, was gone. And I had allowed my husband closer. And so, but if I had not been asked, what is the thing that you say thank you to your dad for because of that? And that was so intensely real because I thought you cannot be happy about anything. And that's wrong. There is always. And if you shut your eyes to it, you won't see it.
Sure.
I had to someone basically put my nose in it
in
front of people and everything. But I was able to see it. And literally from that moment on, I always look for the positive.
Yeah.
And you mentioned about if you're looking for the negative, you will find the negative. If you're looking for the positive, you'll find the positive. Much like bicycle racing, when I was downhill mountain bike racing, you don't look for the rock you don't want to hit. You look for the trail you want to continue on. You look for the path that you need to have to get down. You know, if you're going to go down the freeway and you're going to look at somebody stopped and the accident that's happening, you're going to you go to what you look at.
Yeah. Yep.
And so there's that element of a mindset. If you want silver linings, they are everywhere. They are absolutely everywhere. Change the mindset and go, where is that silver lining? Because you want to expect it.
Yeah.
And there was something wonderful on this morning on a different element that I was watching it, and I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was about the expect the miracles or have the expectation for what you're looking for.
That's so true. I read a book a long time ago, and basically the book was saying, find the kernel of wisdom in every critic. So in that respect, it was, we've all dealt with criticism. We've all dealt with setbacks. I mean, the thing that we all have in common, whatever gender, whatever race, whatever economic, education, we all have dealt with and will deal with disappointment. It's just part of the human journey. And the key is, can we find the wisdom in those? Can we find the lesson in that? Can we find silver lining when it comes to that? Because finding the silver lining really gives us the strength to get through of like, okay, I know that whatever difficulty I'm dealing with right now, there's a lesson to be learned, which ultimately comes to our growth. Right? That we grow through those, and how much, like you're talking about the growth of your relationship with your husband, and how much more growth do we want to see? The growth in our relationship with our kids, the growth in our relationship with our friends, and our community, our growth as a leader and as a person. I don't want to stay stuck, but I have found the people who stay stuck are the ones who aren't discovering the silver lining. And so because they can't find the lesson, they never grow to the next place. And it keeps them in this cycle of drama, this cycle of chaos. They keep going back over and over because they haven't learned those lessons yet or found that silver lining. So what a powerful thought or idea or concept here.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
There's something that's really interesting. You made me think about, again, the words we use. A lot of times people will be very self-deprecating in their words, oh, I'm so stupid or this. And I'm like, I choose to not use those words
Yeah.
because no matter what, you hear that.
Yep.
And so I'll catch my friends and sort of go, stop, don't say that, But it goes down to even the simplest of things as you think about the negative or the positive on elements. And, you hear a lot of people and it sounds so innocent. Oh, no problem.
Yeah.
There's two negative words. So I've chosen in my language, all good.
Yeah.
So whenever somebody says something, I just say, oh, it's all good. It's all good, instead of no problem.
Yeah.
Just some of the littlest of things. It's sort of like saving a penny every day. You
Yeah.
have a lot of money.
Yeah.
But sometimes you don't think those littlest things make a huge difference. And so I think it's just the element of everything
Yeah.
that comes out of your mouth.
I'm totally in love with that concept. Dr. Carolyn Leaf, she talks about, and she has a book called Switch on Your Brain. And she is a neuroscientist, incredible voice. And if you're listening or watching, I would strongly recommend that you find her stuff. But we literally can train our brains. Our brains are teachable. And so we have this piece of our mind. It's the receptacle system, that sort of thing, that basically the best way to describe it is that when you buy a green car that you've never seen before, suddenly your brain starts pointing out all these green cars that you're like, what? This was nowhere, and now everybody's got one of those. And we literally train through a reward system, if you will, our minds to look for the good. And so once I kind of discovered that, I thought, wow, I actually can reprogram my mind to look for the silver lining. And that's where words are powerful, that the words we digest mentally and the words that we feed our minds with is what our minds start looking to for food. And so it's not just a psychobabble or, fruity tooty kind of things that's out there. It is actual real. Science backs it up that we can train our minds to look for and be rewarded by certain things. Even in difficult times, our brain can be trained or reprogrammed and retrained. That's the thing about the plasticity of the brain, is that it's not stuck if we will choose to get unstuck in our minds. And so what you talk about there of like, don't speak those things over yourself, and self-talk is literally the most toxic for most people, because I might say something critical about you and you're like, well, who cares? Who's that guy?
Right.
But if you say something critical about you, you're the most powerful voice in your life. And so finding the silver lining is about leveraging the fact that I am the most powerful voice in my life, what I think about myself, what I say about myself. And this isn't to be, it's not self-power. We both definitely believe in a creator who's created us in an image with a mission, with a purpose, that sort of thing, and that our power comes from him, but he empowered us to be self-beings.
Yep.
And so what we speak over ourselves, and so I would just say the silver lining. And so let me ask you this question. We'll shift this. How do people find you, find your story, follow you? How do they get connected with all of the things? Because again, your bio, I did like 3 sentences out of a whole page. There's so much more to you that we didn't even get into. So how can they find you to discover more?
So I am at FireCycle is pretty much my social media handle, FireCycle. So I have Instagram and Twitter and social media, and theprojectspeed.com is the website.
Yeah.
So.
Check out the website for sure. And again, I can't even say enough about the video. If I can find a way, if our team, not me, it's the team, the guys behind the camera here, can drop that video in there, we might even make it a part of the YouTube thing. But for sure, the links to it will be in the show notes and the YouTube links and all that kind of stuff. So we'll be sure to do that and highlight all of those things. So silver linings, training our brain, training our minds to look for them, to find them. I want you to share one more story if you're willing. I didn't even prep you for this, but I totally geeked out on this, but would you share the story about the wheel hub?
Oh, yes. And this is truly where I know God was involved. because if you remember in 2016, I said, I'm going to go back and I'm going to set the overall record because I set the women's and it was respectable, but I wanted something else. And I came back and did the 183.9, and there was a lot of things that could have gone wrong that actually waited till later to go wrong. Even while I was in the doing the record, there were elements to where I could have hit the fairing and I was kept upright, and it's almost physically impossible to think back. But something that was really interesting and so poignant was 5 days after the record, we were actually doing a video, setting up for a video interview for an international or a national company. And we sat there and we got the bike set up. I'm getting all mic'd up and we hear this pop. And we're like, and I'm at the bike shop, we're doing it at the bike shop. And we're like, oh my gosh, I think we just got a flat.
Yeah.
That's weird. And they looked and went, oh, there's air in the tires. They look closer, and where all the spokes come together on the hub, there's a flange where they all connect, sheared off the hub. It literally snapped.
Yeah.
5 days afterwards. If that and it was my rear wheel, if that had occurred while I was out there, it would not have been a good outcome.
Yeah, because let me remind everyone, 183.9, right? So at 183.9 miles an hour, you got to think about the friction, the tension on the bike, and the intensity and reaction time of you, the person on the bike, on the saddle, that sort of thing. And so to have that hub just pop and shear all those spokes off, incredible.
I still have the hub, and I actually take it with me to go, here's what this looks like. Because, it visually, people go, what? Until they see it, and they go, oh my gosh, to see just the cracks and it just popped completely off.
Yeah.
That would have just collapsed the entire rear wheel.
Sure.
And if you're going that fast, you don't want to become a sled.
Right.
It doesn't work really well.
Yeah, the ground there is not very forgiving on those salt flats. So
and it's quite salty. So, yeah.
Sure.
It would have been salt in the wound.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I'm glad that didn't happen because you got to be here to tell the story and share the story. So, I heard you tell the story firsthand, over some tacos when I heard it. But you said then that was kind of confirmation that you don't need to go to 200 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Because I said, why not 184?
Yeah.
That sort of thing. You're like, well, that was the sign that said, hey, I'm done. And sometimes we just need those things to say, yep, I did what I needed to do. So
yeah, there's definitely the pushing your limits, and I feel we truly did with that. And I'm good to step away. I know that there's about 4 other, actually all men, that are wanting to beat my record.
Sure.
And in fact, one has tried.
Okay.
And he was only able to do 174. It was in the UK.
I'm resisting talking trash right now on
I know.
that. But
well, he did have only a 2-mile runway, so it was a little bit of a different setup.
Yeah.
We have the beautiful Bonneville Salt Flats out in Utah, and it allows for these records because of the distance. So I think they all need to come out here, and we'll see what they can do. But I will be praying over them, that's for sure, because knowing what I had went through at that speed, it's almost like this exponential change in risk as you go faster.
What was the, again, this is off topic. I hope this makes it into the show too. I hope they don't cut it, but we still got time left.
Yeah.
If you want to hit the pause button and stop listening, you can. But what was the physical, like when you came off the bike, and you're coming down off the adrenaline, were you sore? Were you like, how long did it take you to recover from that? What was that like?
Oh gosh, I don't even remember that because I was on cloud 9.
Sure.
The irony is on our Facebook page, there is a video that my son was taking in the chase vehicle.
Okay.
So he was on the safety road because at the end, the car goes one way and needs to be towed in.
Okay.
And then I go a different way and I marry up with a vehicle before I have to unclip and then put my hand in there and I get sort of towed off.
Okay.
And so I don't know what speed I did. All I know is that last run I did had a lot of scary moments.
Yeah.
And for the very first time, a niggle of fear got into my mind. And I knew if I needed to go back out there, I'm going to have to work really hard on that. And so I came around and my son, he was still doing the little Facebook Live at the time. And he went, Mom, I think you did it. And I think he said 187 or something, some other number, 186 or whatever. And I went, what? And you could hear me go, what?
Yeah.
Because I was like, okay, did I hear this right?
Yeah.
And what's even better about that? So I knew at that moment, he's 18 at the time, and I'm going, oh, I just don't believe him. He's screwing with me, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's my son. He's joking with me. So we get to the timing booth, and I see it, and of course, there's huge celebration. And when you're on top of the world in that element, there is no. Everything else is shut down. You don't feel anything else. But it was a surreal moment. But a little funny thing is, of course, only a mother. I just went 180 some odd miles an hour. I am holding on to the side of my vehicle that my son's driving.
Okay.
And we're about to make this left, and I go, "Oh, be careful, be careful." We're going 15 miles an hour. I'm like, oh, dear.
184, no problem. 15,
be
better watch
careful.
it. Yeah. Hey, thank you so much for being on today, for sharing a part of your story. And again, we're putting all the links in the show descriptions and a part of the YouTube, and you can find them either across the bottom of the screen if you're watching it, or be sure to look her up. So,
hello for those watching.
Yes. As we wrap this, I just want to remind you, we did this episode, The Silver Linings, to remind you of something. You may not be a Guinness World Record holder, but you can do hard things. You are a conqueror. In fact, I believe you are more than a conqueror. And perhaps all you need is that one little tweak of, instead of looking for the other shoe to drop, you start finding the silver linings, the lessons, the wins, the possibilities in every situation. And that will give you the knowledge, the strength, and the warrior attitude. And I know you're that, because look, you've survived this far. You've faced some tough stuff and you survived this far. That means you are a conqueror, and you can find the silver linings. Thanks for joining us for the I can't even talk anymore. Thanks for joining us on the Cultivation Podcast. Be sure to hit the like button and the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of our incredible content and resources that are coming your way. Also, I would love for you to share your journey of silver linings in the comments, whether you're on YouTube or on social media. All of them are at Tom Hamill. So put those in the comments. We read those, we respond to those, we react to those as we interact with you, and hit the share button so others can find this podcast and some of our guests and friends and resources that we've had a part of this journey. Thanks for journeying with us on the Cultivation Podcast.
Thanks for checking us out today. Be sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on all the incredible content we have coming out. Also, we'd love to hear from you in the comment section. We read those, we respond to those as we journey together in the cultivated life.